Hello friends, welcome to the Brit Tales. Today, I'm taking you on a sparkling adventure, a mini summer holiday by the sea. Imagine waking up with that fizzy feeling of excitement, knowing something magical is waiting. We'll be traveling with friends to a lively British music festival, where the road is filled with songs, laughter, and unforgettable chatter. Once there, we'll explore the festival grounds buzzing with food, dazzling rides, and irresistible music that makes every step feel like a heartbeat. Along the way, we'll pick up useful British English phrases in real, life situations, phrases that sound natural, quirky, and alive. We'll dive into live performances, practicing our listening skills while being swept up by the rhythm of the crowd. And finally, we'll end the day feeling gloriously happy, deliciously tired, and absolutely full of shimmering memories. So, get ready to listen, learn, and leave the story with me. When I woke up that morning, I could already feel the excitement bubbling inside me. The sunlight was streaming through the curtains, warm and golden, as if the day itself was inviting me to begin my little summer holiday by the sea. I stretched out slowly, still half asleep, but with that special kind of energy you only feel when something wonderful is waiting for you. The sound of birds outside seemed brighter, and even the cool air coming in through the window felt fresh, like it carried a promise of adventure. It wasn't just any day, it was the start of something I had been waiting for, our trip to the coast, where music, laughter, and friendship would fill every moment. I remember sitting up in bed and thinking about everything ahead. There was the long drive with friends, the music festival waiting for us, and the sea breeze that would greet us the moment we arrived. The thought alone made me smile. I didn't even need an alarm that day. My own excitement had woken me earlier than usual. I quickly looked at the small bag I had packed the night before, making sure my essentials were ready. Comfortable clothes, sunglasses, a light jacket for the evening, and of course, my ticket for the festival. The bag wasn't heavy, but in my mind it carried the weight of an entire holiday, every little item ready to help create new memories. As I got ready, I could hear the quiet hum of the house around me. The kettle whistled in the kitchen, the sound of breakfast being made drifted through the hall, and everything felt like part of a soft rhythm that carried me forward. I brushed my teeth, tied my hair back, and glanced at the clock. Time seemed to move faster that morning, as if it knew I couldn't wait to leave. Every small detail felt more alive: the smell of toast, the sip of tea, even the sound of my shoes as I put them on. These tiny moments added up to a sense of anticipation that made my heart beat a little quicker. Walking outside, the air was fresh and bright. The sky had that clear blue glow that only summer mornings seem to have, and for a moment I just stood there, letting the sunlight touch my face. I could already imagine the sea, far away but waiting for me, and I could almost hear the faint echo of music in the distance, even though I knew it was only my imagination. Soon enough, it would be real. I thought about the friends I would be meeting, the conversations we'd have, and the laughter that always seemed louder when we were together. A trip like this wasn't just about the place, it was about the people, and knowing that I'd be surrounded by energy and joy made the day feel even more special. With each step towards the journey, I felt lighter, as if my ordinary world was slowly fading into the background. The thought of leaving behind everyday routines filled me with relief. No schedules, no long lists of tasks, just freedom, music, and the sea. The road ahead was waiting, and I couldn't wait to see where it would take me. My excitement wasn't just about the destination. It was about the feeling of being alive, of embracing something new and unforgettable. That morning was more than just the start of a holiday. It was the beginning of a story I knew I would carry with me for a long time. And so, with a heart full of anticipation, I stepped forward into the day, ready to begin my summer holiday by the sea. The journey itself felt like part of the adventure. Traveling with friends always has that special energy, a mixture of laughter, chatter, and the quiet understanding that you are creating memories together. As soon as we piled into the car, the atmosphere changed. The music was playing softly at first, but soon the volume went up and we all started singing along, our voices not perfect but full of joy. The road stretched out ahead of us, and with every mile we drove, the excitement grew. The thought that we were heading to a lively British music festival made even the most ordinary sights along the road feel somehow magical. The car was full of small conversations, stories being shared, and endless discussions about the festival. Who would play first? Which bands were we most excited to see? Where would we eat when we arrived? Each question opened up laughter and playful debates, and even though nothing was certain yet, the guessing and planning made the trip feel alive. Every now and then, someone would pull out their phone to check the schedule or share a song we might hear later that night. The music filled the space between us, a preview of what was waiting at the festival, and it carried our excitement even further. Outside the window, the scenery kept changing. Towns passed by, then wide stretches of green fields, and sometimes we caught sight of the sea in the distance, glimmering in the sunlight. Each view seemed to remind us of where we were heading, a place filled with lights, sounds, and energy, a world so different from the quiet car ride. But inside the car, there was no silence. Someone was always telling a joke. Another person was singing louder than the rest, and the rest of us couldn't stop laughing. That's the thing about traveling with friends. The road never feels long, and even the traffic feels like part of the fun. At one point, we stopped for snacks, and that simple stop became an adventure of its own. Choosing drinks, sharing crisps, and laughing at the smallest details turned into moments we knew we'd look back on. It wasn't about what we bought. It was about the way we were together, the easy joy of being with people who understood you. We stocked up on a few essentials for later, water bottles, some fruit, and a few guilty pleasures like sweets and fizzy drinks, because we knew once we arrived at the festival, everything would be busier, louder, and too exciting to think about food in a normal way. As we got closer, we began to see signs pointing toward the festival. The roads grew busier with other cars and vans, many of them packed with groups of people who looked just as eager as we were. You could almost feel the energy spreading as more and more travelers joined the route, all heading in the same direction. Some cars had music blasting out of open windows. Others had flags or stickers, and you could see faces lit up with the same excitement that we felt. It was like being part of a moving parade, a journey that connected strangers together even before the festival began. Finally, when we saw the entrance in the distance, a cheer went up in the car. We were almost there. The sound of our voices mixed with the beat of the music on the speakers, and for a moment it felt like the festival had already started inside that little space we shared. The road, the songs, the laughter, and the anticipation had all been part of it. Traveling with friends wasn't just about reaching the destination. It was about building the story that would carry us into the days ahead. And with every smile, every song, and every shared moment, we knew the real adventure was just about to begin. The moment we stepped through the gates, it felt like walking into another world. The air was alive with the hum of voices, the laughter of strangers, and the distant thump of music drifting from the main stage. Bright banners swayed in the breeze, colorful lights decorated the paths, and the smell of food instantly pulled us forward. It was impossible to stand still. Every corner seemed to promise something new, something exciting, and we couldn't wait to explore it all together. We started by wandering through the rows of food stalls, each one offering something different. The smells mixed in the air, freshly baked bread, sizzling burgers, sweet donuts, spicy curries, and salty chips covered in vinegar. It was like traveling the world without leaving the festival grounds. People were queuing up everywhere, holding plates piled high with food, balancing drinks, and trying not to spill while walking across the grass. We stopped to taste little bits here and there, laughing when someone took too big a bite or dropped a chip. Even the simplest snack felt special because it was part of the atmosphere, part of the memory being made. As we moved further in, the sounds of the fairground grew louder. Bright colors flashed from the rides, the Ferris wheel turning slowly against the sky, the carousel spinning with its painted horses, and the louder, faster rides that sent people screaming with joy. The laughter and shouts of excitement mixed with the music, creating a rhythm that made the whole place feel like it was moving. We couldn't resist trying a few rides ourselves. The Ferris wheel gave us a view of the entire festival, a sea of people, lights, and tents stretching out in every direction. From up there, you could see the stages glowing, the food stalls busy, and the crowd like a living wave of color. When we came down, we were filled with that rush of excitement that only comes from being in the middle of something so alive. Everywhere we turned, there was something new to see. Small stalls were selling handmade jewelry, painted shirts, and quirky souvenirs that called out to be taken home as reminders of this adventure. Street performers added to the magic, playing guitars, juggling, or making the crowd laugh with their tricks. Children ran past holding balloons, and groups of friends sat on the grass sharing stories over food. The festival felt like a little city of its own, a place where every corner was bursting with energy, creativity, and life. But the heart of it all was the music. We followed the sound of drums and guitars toward one of the stages, where the crowd was already gathering. The ground vibrated with the beat, and the energy of hundreds of people singing along was unforgettable. Standing there among them, voices blending together, it felt like we were part of something bigger than ourselves. The songs filled the air, carrying with them joy, emotion, and a sense of connection that only music can bring. We didn't even have to know every word. The rhythm itself was enough to make us move, to make us feel alive in that moment. As the day went on, we wandered from one stage to another, from one food stall to the next, letting the festival carry us wherever it wanted. Sometimes we stopped just to watch, sometimes to join in, and other times just to sit on the grass and take it all in. It was a mix of tastes, sounds, colors, and emotions, woven together into something unforgettable. And as we explored those festival grounds, full of food, rides, and music, we realized that this wasn't just an event we were attending. It was an experience we were living. One of the things I loved most about being at the festival was how many chances there were to pick up useful British English phrases in real life situations. It wasn't like sitting in a classroom or repeating words from a textbook. Instead, every interaction was natural, spontaneous, and full of meaning because it was connected to something happening in the moment. When we first arrived, for example, I heard someone say, "Let's get our bearings." And I instantly understood from the way they were pointing around that it meant figuring out where we were and what was around us. It's the kind of phrase that sticks because you see it in action, not just as a definition on a page. Even ordering food gave us opportunities to listen and learn. At one of the stalls, I heard the vendor say, "Stock up now, it'll be busy later." The phrase "stock up" suddenly made sense when I saw people buying extra snacks and drinks to save for later in the day. Another moment came when a friend asked what time a band was playing, and someone replied, "It's on the schedule." The word itself wasn't new, but the casual way it was used in conversation felt different. Phrases like these are so common in everyday British English, and hearing them spoken naturally helped me understand how to use them myself. Walking through the fairground, another expression caught my attention. Someone nearby said, "This ride looks glorious," and the way they stretched the word showed how enthusiastic they felt. I'd read the word glorious before in books, but hearing it used to describe something as fun and simple as a fairground ride gave it a fresh energy. It was no longer just a formal word. It became alive. Something you could use with friends when you wanted to describe a great experience. Later, while sitting on the grass and listening to music, we overheard a group of people talking about how shattered they felt after dancing all afternoon. I knew the word tired, but shattered sounded stronger, almost funny, and I could see immediately how to use it. The same thing happened when another person described a band's performance as magnificent. Words like these weren't just vocabulary. They carried emotion, and the festival was full of opportunities to hear them in action. Even small things taught me something. When we got a bit lost moving between the stages, a security guard told us to head straight through and explore the other side. That word, explore, made perfect sense in a festival setting where every corner had something new waiting. And at one point, while a singer finished a slow, moving song, someone in the crowd whispered, "That was emotional." The word was so simple, but in that moment, it carried all the weight of the music and how it made people feel. Each phrase we picked up felt like a little treasure, not just because it added to our vocabulary, but because it came from real people in real situations. It showed me how language lives in the world, how it connects to feelings, actions, and experiences. A textbook can give you words, but only moments like these can give you the rhythm, the humor, and the real sense of how people actually speak. By the end of the day, I realized that the festival had given me more than just music and fun. It had given me living, breathing English, the kind you carry with you into every conversation. Standing in front of the stage, surrounded by a sea of people, I felt the music wrap itself around me. The lights flashed in time with the beat. The sound of guitars and drums filled the air, and the voices of the singers rose above everything else. There is something about a live performance that feels completely different from listening to music at home. Every note seemed bigger, every word clearer, and I found myself listening more carefully than ever. It wasn't just about enjoying the music. It became a way to practice listening, to catch the flow of real British English as it poured from the stage and echoed through the crowd. At first, the energy of the festival made it almost overwhelming. People cheered, clapped, and sang along, and the performers spoke quickly between songs. But slowly, I began to adjust. I paid attention to the little details, the way the singers pronounced certain words, the slang they used when talking to the audience, the rhythm in their sentences. I realized that music wasn't only entertainment, it was also an incredible teacher. Phrases became easier to follow when they were repeated in choruses, and jokes or comments from the stage felt like tiny lessons in how British people really spoke. One band paused to thank the audience, saying things like, "You've been brilliant," and "What a magnificent crowd." Words I had read before suddenly had life, tone, and feeling. Another singer told everyone, "Don't forget to grab your essentials before heading out tonight." And I instantly remembered how that word had come up earlier in the day. The festival became a living classroom where listening carefully gave me a new way to understand both music and language. Even the crowd helped me practice. Around me, friends shouted to each other, laughing and reacting to the performances. I picked up words like entertaining, glorious, and emotional without effort, simply because I heard them used naturally in the moment. When the music slowed and the singer shared a heartfelt story before starting the next song, the silence of the audience made every word stronger. Listening in that way trained my ear, helping me to recognize how tone and emotion carry meaning just as much as vocabulary. There was a moment I'll never forget, standing shoulder to shoulder with strangers, the chorus of a song bursting out from the stage, and suddenly the entire crowd sang together. I didn't know all the words, but I followed along, listening closely, repeating what I heard, and somehow blending into the voices around me. That feeling of connection, of practicing language without pressure, made the learning effortless. It wasn't about studying, it was about being part of something alive and real. As the day turned to evening, the performances grew even more powerful. The lights danced across the stage, the sound systems filled every corner of the festival grounds, and the performers spoke with such energy that you couldn't help but focus on their words. Every announcement, every joke, every thank You became another chance to train my ears. By listening with care, I wasn't only enjoying the music, I was growing in confidence, learning to catch meaning even when the noise around me was loud. By the time the final band came on stage, I was tired but happy, still paying attention, still absorbing every sound. The festival gave me more than music. It gave me the chance to listen with purpose, to hear real English in the rhythm of songs and the voices of people all around me. And in those live performances, with every note and every word, I discovered that listening could be both practice and pure joy at the same time. As the sun began to set, the festival grounds looked completely different from the way they had in the morning. The sky turned shades of pink and orange, and strings of lights lit up the paths, giving everything a magical glow. The energy was still there, but it had shifted into something softer, calmer, almost reflective. The laughter of friends, the last songs echoing from the stages, the smell of food still lingering in the air, all of it blended into a kind of rhythm that made the whole place feel timeless. After a long day of walking, dancing, and singing, my body felt heavy, but in the best possible way, as if every moment of joy had left its mark. I remember sitting down on the grass with my friends, the ground cool beneath us, and just looking around at the people still moving, still talking, still enjoying the last parts of the night. Some were carrying souvenirs, some were wrapped in blankets, others were lying back and gazing at the stars above. Everywhere I looked, I saw faces glowing with the same mixture of happiness and exhaustion that I felt. It was the kind of tiredness that doesn't weigh you down, but instead reminds you that you've lived the day fully. As we shared our last snacks and talked quietly, we laughed about the funny little things that had happened. Someone dropping their chips, another getting stuck on the Ferris wheel, or the way we all tried to sing along to a song we barely knew. Those moments had already turned into memories, even though they had happened only hours before. The music still played faintly in the distance, but now it felt like a soft background to our conversations, a reminder of the energy that had carried us through the day. The tiredness made us slower, but it also made us appreciate everything more deeply. I thought about the new words and phrases I had learned, the taste of food I had never tried before, the way the rides had made me feel like a child again, and the songs that had connected me with strangers. Each piece came together to form a story that was now mine to keep. I realized that this was more than just a festival. It was an experience that gave me laughter, learning, and a sense of belonging. As the night grew darker, people began to leave in small groups, their voices still cheerful but quieter than before. The festival grounds slowly emptied, but the feeling lingered. Even as we walked back toward the car, carrying our bags and yawning with every step, we couldn't stop talking about what we had seen and heard. Every retold moment felt like reliving it once more, and even though we were exhausted, none of us wanted the day to end completely. By the time we finally sat down for the journey home, silence began to fall over us. The chatter faded into soft murmurs, and one by one, my friends leaned back, eyes closing, too tired to speak. I stayed awake for a little longer, looking out the window at the passing lights, and I felt a wave of gratitude for everything the day had given me. Happiness, tiredness, memories. They were all wrapped together in a way that made me feel complete. And as I closed my eyes at last, I knew the festival might have ended, but the memories we made would stay alive within me forever. Thank you, friends, for joining me on this Brit Tales adventure. We began with the thrill of waking up excited for a summer holiday by the sea, ready for new experiences. Together, we traveled with friends to a lively British music festival, filling the journey with laughter, music, and anticipation. We explored the festival grounds bursting with food, dazzling rides, and endless rhythms that made the whole place feel alive. Along the way, we discovered useful British English phrases in real-life moments, learning language that lives in conversations, not just books. We immersed ourselves in live performances, practicing listening skills while being carried by the energy of the crowd. And finally, we ended the day happy, tired, and overflowing with unforgettable memories. This story has been more than words. It's been an experience. Until next time, keep learning, keep listening, and keep making every day its own little festival.